What is your Thursday edition? Again, apologize for the slight change of pace. Trey was supposed to be on today, but as happens when you run your own business, the guy is busier than can be. So I'm gonna have to basically just tell him I'm a huge client, and we'll just lock down his time someday to get him on the program. Anyway, it couldn't happen at a more perfect time because I have tons to talk about today with regards to Elon Musk's tweets, which I love that Brendan, he's like, that's clickbait. Oh yeah, well, you know what? I would call this clickbait, absolutely. Did Elon Musk kill Bitcoin? Before I dive into that, hello, Les out in Cape Canaveral, Thomasina, Rob, Alex, good to have you with us. It's been a while, man. Where you been hiding? You on the road? You on tour? Siraj, Jerry, Tom, Big Eb, Brendan, of course, Pepe, good to have you guys with us. It will be a fun one today for sure. All right, so the clickbait piece out there. Did Elon Musk kill Bitcoin? I know most of you that are in that crypto space have been watching that thinking, you know, what's going on with Elon Musk's tweets? And I got a bunch of messages last night from a variety of different people around that same basic topic. I thought, you know what, let's go and dive into that topic. Why not? Let's just see what we can get out of that as a conversation piece. So it actually started with this wrong screen. This is the one. This is from Lee. Lee says, did Elon Musk just kill Bitcoin? I thought, what a perfect name for a title. And hello, Eco and Lisa. Good to have you with us as well. And yeah, thanks, Lisa. I do enjoy messing around with the graphics. It's fun to come up with new stuff. Look, no, he absolutely did not just kill Bitcoin. And there's no way he killed it. What he did is brought maybe to more attention the Achilles heel of Bitcoin, which some people would argue is its strength. So let me walk through the tweet that was sent out just so you guys can have the reference point here, and then we'll dive into it and we'll talk about some of the opportunities that this poses. I personally did buy on this dip, not fully loaded, but I am going to be buying some more here if we get a little bit lower in some of these indexes and buy back in. So here we have the initial tweet. It's 3 parts really. First part says, Tesla suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Okay, well, first we'll start with that one. Now, you see he's saying we're just not going to allow it for purchases, which is kind of really not that significant of a piece. I don't think that they were just flying off the shelves because people were accepting them in Bitcoin, but it's a chess move. And I think the chess move is setting Tesla up and Elon Musk potentially for maybe their own currency or doing something with an existing currency, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. So to me, it's not that big a deal they're not using Bitcoin. Where they're drawing attention to is what I mentioned just a second ago, which is kind of the Achilles heel, the amount of energy consumption that Bitcoin uses. Now, I didn't have time today to prepare and look at all the different energy consumption pieces out there, but I'm sure some of you have. If you look at the different consumption pieces, like to manufacture gold or to extract gold from earth, it's a very dirty profession. There's a lot of energy consumption. And I would love it if somebody actually came out with a comparison of what it actually costs to produce money. Producing 100s, 20s, 50s, 10s, 5s, nickels, pennies, quarters, nickels, dime, all that stuff, that's going to be extremely expensive with regards to energy consumption, but the focus is on Bitcoin. Now, for those that don't know the technology behind it, Bitcoin operates off what's called a proof of work concept. It's one of the more secure cryptographic functions and consensus algorithms that's used in the crypto space. This is why Bitcoin is viewed as one of the safest cryptocurrencies to be in, because of the proof of work and how diverse it is, or spread out it is. Now, do they use a lot of energy? Yeah, absolutely. It's a ton of energy, which from a lot of people's perspectives, including mine, it actually gives it intrinsic value. You'll hear Peter Schiff say it has no intrinsic value whatsoever. Bitcoin's worth nothing. It's backed by nothing. Well, so is your US dollar, right? Your US dollar is, I believe a dollar bill takes like 6 cents to make for the government. That's really what it's worth, but it's the promise of something else. Bitcoin actually has intrinsic value because of the energy consumption that's needed to manufacture the Bitcoins. Now, Elon Musk is doing a very interesting thing here, and I'm hoping that some of you guys will jump onto this and see the chess move, because right now Elon Musk and Tesla are applying for EPA tax credits and trying to get involved with greater tax credits. I believe last year they got something like $500 million worth of $500 million worth of tax credits for the Tesla. So having a notable dirty cryptocurrency, when I say dirty just from the energy consumption, might make them look bad. I think this is a political move. You notice they have not said anything about selling their holdings. Matter of fact, if we look at the next slide here, You'll see his second part of the statement. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels, but we believe it has a promising future, and we believe it has a promising future, but this cannot come at a great cost to the environment. So here we are, basically going up to the EPA and going, bend over, EPA. Let me just kiss that backside for you. Just want to make sure you guys know we're kissing butt here, and we want to make a big political statement that we're on board with safe environments. Let's not talk about SpaceX's rocket and the amount of fuel that thing burns up every time it takes out. But that's okay. We don't need to talk about that. The third piece of this was what I thought was the most interesting one, and I think this is what provides a lot of opportunity to us as investors, and that is Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin. All right, I think that's a good one. We're not selling any Bitcoin and intend to use it for transactions as soon as mining transitions to more sustainable energy. We are also looking at other cryptocurrencies that use less than 1% of Bitcoin's energy per transaction. Okay, so right there, what makes this great is it now gives everybody the opportunity to go out there and say, who's the next one, right? Who's the next one that they're going to pick up and use as a transactional currency? And you guys might remember early on, I think it was last year sometime, I lose track when we do these shows, I had actually talked about the potential, when you break it apart, there's like kind of three big groups, right? You have the store of value, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin should not be thought of as a transactional currency. It's a store of value. You have other ones like your Ethereum, which could be transactional. You have Litecoin. You have other ones that are a little bit faster, Ripple, EOS, etc. But the second generation there is Ethereum, which is great from a programmability smart contracts, but it's not really scalable. It's not meant to be a mass adoption transactional system. Then we have new ones out there which really are meant to be mass adoption transactional. Things like Cardano, things like EOS. You could even lump Tron in there. I saw Justin Sun pandering to Elon Musk about how his cryptocurrency would be great as a transactional medium. So as we run through this, I'll read some numbers I gathered just before the show today to give you an idea of what it costs per kilowatt hour to manufacture some of these cryptocurrencies. And I was going to build a slide. I just ran out of time for you guys. So if you look at Bitcoin, it's 707 kilowatt hours per transaction. Now here's the trick. All you have to do is increase the number of transactions that happened on Bitcoin, and that whole number changes, right? Right now they have a system set up where there is a specific limit to the number of transactions that go through. The block size on Bitcoin is fixed, which is why you had Bitcoin Cash, because they made a bigger block size, which is why you have Litecoin, because they made a bigger block size, etc. Now, if you look at the next logical choice, I had a couple people asking me if Ethereum would be the next one that Elon Musk would go to. Well, if he says it has to be 1% of Bitcoin's current energy per transaction consumption, which is 707 kilowatts, that means that the cryptocurrency that Musk and Tesla would look to go with are going to be less than 7 kilowatt hours per transaction. Now, there are a lot of suitors in that area, but Ethereum is not even close. Ethereum's at 62 kilowatt hours per transaction. Again, they don't do a lot of transactions. So I didn't bring this site up, but I'll bring it up for you guys right now. If you look at blocktivity.info, it will show you a list of, bring it up over here. It'll show you the ones that have the most transactions. All right, so let me go here. Here we have 4.6 million transactions for EOS. That's number 5 on the list. You see there's others. Stellar Lumens is much higher. XPR, Wax, and Telos are all very high in transactions. So if you're going to divide the amount of kilowatt hours consumption, these are going to be very low. Here's why Bitcoin is kind of shooting itself. It does 766,000 transactions. So when you take in the total energy consumption divided by the number of transactions, it's not that great. I mean, you don't have a great number. Granted, the amount of energy consumption by Bitcoin is off the charts. It's huge. However, that's for the stability and safety and security of the entire thing. So if you look at some of these other ones, I've been talking about EOS for quite some time in the amount of transactions that they can do in a very short period of time. That one's going to be under your 1% of Bitcoin. So any of these above here, I think even HBAR are going to be doing much better with regards to consumption. Now, the reason that Ethereum is not doing so well, you see they have 1.6 million transactions. They're doing good on the transaction front, but at this point, they are still proof of work. They're transitioning to proof of stake. Now, once they go to proof of stake, Ethereum may actually be the one that gets adopted as transactional. I personally don't think it will. I think it will be someone else. I think it could very easily be one of these guys in your top 6. I think Tron, I think EOS, I think Stellar Lumens are all great candidates. So could any of these above it. So, you saw EOS really take a big jump recently, and I think that has a lot to do with it, that there's a potential for it to be adopted as a much more transactional system. Now, we could take a step back here and look at the crap coin, the shit coin, the Dogecoin, the one that I still think is a joke, but you guys may remember I said there's a long shot here with Dogecoin. And that long shot with Dogecoin is that they would potentially be picked up by somebody like Elon Musk, a corporation built around it to help the development and infrastructure. I noticed just recently there is an organization trying to build up Dogecoin, which is what should have happened anyway. But if you get Elon Musk on board and funding and using his amazing social media manipulation skills to push Dogecoin further as an accepted currency, not only for Tesla, but around the world, because their transaction cost per transaction, electricity-wise, is way lower than the limits of 1% of Bitcoins. So I hate to say it, but Dogecoin could potentially have a place here. I still think that they're garbage. I'm a hypocrite? What am I a hypocrite on? Why am I a hypocrite? I love when people troll and say things. You at least give me some reason why. All right, if you have questions for me, just do me favors. Type question marks in front of those so I can address them, because I see you guys are talking a bunch of stuff on here, and I want to make sure I get to them all. If you look at the top suitors, in my opinion, that Elon Musk may be looking at, Ripple is hard to dismiss as being a candidate. However, given the regulatory issues with the SEC at this point, I don't think that they're going to be a go. Ripple right now is 0.0079 kilowatt hours per transaction. That's one of the better rates that you're going to see out here with regards to consumption. Now, the one that I have three of these on the list that I think are going to be adopted. Number one is going to be Cardano. Cardano is an offshoot of Ethereum. Actually, was started by one of the developers of Ethereum. Went off to do his own thing. Love watching him. He's just got a lot of great content and like the vision. They're at 0.57 kilowatt hours per transaction. So clearly well within the constraints that Elon Musk has dictated by that text message or tweet message that he sent last night. So I would put Cardano on the list. Stellar Lumens also does a ton of transactions. I don't have the exact numbers here on how quickly they do them. Dogecoin, if you're asking, is 0.12. That's very fast, okay? And with most of the proof of work cryptocurrencies, you're going to have problems. Proof of work are the ones that require the most energy. You have to have mining rigs and lots of energy consumption, which I think is why Vitalik Buterin and his team all have looked at it and said, hey, you know what? We will go to a proof of stake system. And that's what Cardano is and EOS is as well. So I would put EOS, Cardano, Stellar Lumens at the top of my list as being potentials. And a distant fourth, I may actually keep some Dogecoin just for that. Yeah, Big Eb says Cardano hit an all-time high today. Ebenezer, gold is great. Don't call me a hypocrite when you have no idea what my mindset is. I am a huge fan of gold. Gold is awesome, but gold's not going to buy you a Tesla. And if you paid attention to the show and didn't just troll me, you'd understand that the topic of the day is how Elon Musk killed Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with gold, because you can't go out and buy a Tesla with gold. Good luck going to the dealership with your coins and trying to buy it. You might be able to, but probably not going to happen. I am definitely a fan of gold, even more a fan of silver, but that's not the discussion today. So thanks for the troll. Appreciate it. I don't know, Sheena. I don't know Elrond. Unfortunately, I don't know the Elrond one out there. How much mining computing necessary, encrypting, up to and how much is frivolous proof? Don't know. Each one of them is going to be different, Tom. With regards to energy consumption, there's programs out there. There's actually websites that you can go to that will tell you where you make the most money using your hashing power right now. So what a lot of them are doing are switching back and forth to different cryptocurrencies, trying to get the best rate of return on their investment. So what you're seeing is the hashing power will fluctuate. It's been pouring into things like Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin has been just soaring in value. So there's more interest in buying mining rigs, ASIC miners, building these, warehouses full of mining equipment. And then of course that draws huge power. what happens is they can keep pumping in as much equipment as they want into these warehouses. All that Bitcoin is doing is just changing the difficulty, so it doesn't really impact the production or anything of Bitcoin. It's simply the power used to mine the blocks, and that's where the big issue is with Elon Musk. I had a chart earlier, but I can't seem to find it, which showed where all the energy consumption was coming from. I think it's funny how Elon Musk is almost hypocritical, saying that he's concerned about energy consumption and environmental issues when, I'll say SpaceX is, I'm pretty sure, a gross polluter out there. What other ones were on that list? NEO was also another one that comes to mind. I don't have the rates of transactions for EOS or NEO, but that is another one that was on the list. And I think what you'll see in the near future is, Elon Musk has no problem being very public about these things and almost overly public. I think a lot of the times it's a pump and dump type of thing, but hey, what social media influencer is not using pump and dump techniques to get their stocks moving up and down? So I think you'll see him probably stay on the Dogecoin train. You saw he did a Twitter poll the other day asking, would you like to see transactions done in Dogecoin? I responded, I'd rather see you do transactions in all cryptocurrencies and just convert them right there at the back end of your dealership and call it a day. That would be awesome. But that was the big deal. Now, did it kill Bitcoin? Absolutely not. Now let's look at some price charts here, because that's where the fun is at for today. We've seen some great buying opportunities. Here is your chart. You see we have that line that was on that chart at 47,000 on Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin Bitstamp exchange price, so it might be slightly different on your exchange right now. But a pretty aggressive sell-off over the past couple days. That's really because of Elon Musk. You did see a nice little bounce. I'm already loaded up with enough Bitcoin, personally, my position. I sold out of my Ethereum a few days ago and bought back in some of it today. I plan on buying back in more. I actually have some standing orders right now at 3,400, which if that gets filled, I'm very happy to be buying it. Almost got filled earlier today, but it didn't quite get low enough to fill me at 3,400. Now, I'm also another contender in this one is Litecoin. I did buy back in some of my Litecoin at 295. I have standing orders right now at 260 and 240 to buy back in the remainder of my position on Litecoin. But definitely happy to see this thing tank so I can buy back in at discounts. Now, as far as cryptocurrencies benefiting from this, we talked about things like Cardano. Here's Cardano's chart. Cardano really soaring today, as I think it kind of may have positioned itself as the front runner for this, given its scalability and how quick transactions are, and that it's proof of stake. Definitely makes it a front runner and beating out Ethereum, because Ethereum is currently using tons and tons of energy from a issuance perspective. So Pepe says, I don't understand the cost energy issue with coins. Well, there is, remember, if you're doing proof of work, that means you have these high-end mining rigs that use tons of power to solve these complex puzzles. That's the architecture of proof of work. Now, the more of these computers you have, the better chance you have of solving a block of data. So what happens is everyone's trying to one-up each other by buying more equipment and getting more hashing power. Again, that means you're spending more money to achieve the same goal, which is to solve a block of data. In doing so, it uses an incredible amount of electricity, and Bitcoin is by far the leader. There was an article, I think, in Forbes that talked about them using as much as the country of Argentina. So Bitcoin mining rigs around the world using as much consumption as the entire country of Argentina. Now, I had a page here. Let me see if I can show you this one. Here's Bitcoin energy consumption, just to put it in perspective. It's a kind of a cool page. It's a digeconomist.net. Is where I'm getting this from. If you want, I can give you guys a link to say it, and I'll put it in the chat there. When we look at that from a consumption perspective, it's the estimated terawatts per year is this number that's rallying up here, and you can see we're hitting an all-time high in terawatts, not kilowatts, but terawatts of 115,000. That is a tremendous amount of energy consumption. Now, the other part down here is the minimum terawatts per hour. So that's actually been remaining rather flat, right around 50 terawatts per year. So, you're seeing an increase in it, but here's where the numbers get interesting. Right now, if you annualized the Bitcoin footprint in total energy consumption, it's 115 terawatts, right? Well, that's comparable to the energy consumption of the Netherlands. Wow, crazy. The energy waste, that's a part, I'm not sure exactly how they calculate out the energy waste here, but they say that's about comparable to the energy waste of Luxembourg. And then carbon footprint, for Bitcoin is roughly the same amount as it is for the entire country of Singapore. So, these are some pretty interesting numbers that are out there. You look at the single Bitcoin transactions, this is what Elon Musk is freaking out about. Electrical energy, you're looking at 1,120 per kilowatt hour, and it's been spiking recently and quite a bit of waste. Are there ways they can make this much more efficient? Yes, I believe there are. Right now, I think that Bitcoin will stay the way it's at. I don't think Bitcoin's going to change their ways at all. The only thing that I would do with Bitcoin, and here's how we solve the problem for Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin's not going to change this proof of work consensus algorithm. It should not. In my opinion, that's one of the reasons I love it, is because it's the safest one out there. But what they could do is they could now open it up and maybe potentially get more transactions in per block of data. You have, some things are hurting that, in my opinion. When you have layering technologies, for example, if this is the Bitcoin blockchain, if my arm here is the Bitcoin blockchain, right, and it's slowly sloping up, and imagine that's just a series of little blocks. If I can fit 1,000 transactions per block, great. But what's happening in an attempt to get more data into these blocks, what they're doing is off-chain transactions. It's a chain that runs in parallel. So you have all these, let's say, call that layer 2. Well, layer 2, let's say that 500 of those transactions are done on layer 2, but only one transaction of those 500 is reported. It's taking that big basket, whittling into one transaction, and putting it on. The problem here is now all of a sudden the entire industry is seeing that as, oh, well, the energy consumption for just that one transaction, that's not good. But it was really 500 transactions. And this is layering technology that is designed to make the Bitcoin blockchain scalable, right? Handle, a lot more transactions. The problem is when people are measuring it from the transaction ability on the blockchain, it skews it, if that makes any sense to everybody out there. All right. So that's the gist of it. If you talk about killing Bitcoin, you just look at the price chart. That makes it very easy to say if he's killing Bitcoin. Clearly, he is not. He is just basically creating a buying opportunity. What's noteworthy about this is you're coming right back into some demand zones that go all the way back into March on Bitcoin. If we get below, let's say 42.5, a close below 4,250, I don't know. I think that you could actually see a much bigger sell-off from there, and I'll zoom out here so you get a sense of that. Bum, bum, bum. We are definitely due for some corrections, but when you look at the supply and demand equation for Bitcoin, a lot more demand. Supply is remaining rather constant right now with 6.25 created every block. So there you go. Let's see. I saw one in here. You too, Alex. Have a great night. XRP, Army Sheep, because proof of work doesn't work. That's why. Be prepared to have your face melted. Well, it does work. It just has some limitations. In many cases, it's a safer way to go than proof of stake due to vulnerability and 51% attacks. But there's vulnerabilities to all of the systems. It's just one of the big drawbacks to it is the energy consumption. All right, what else do I got? Does TradeStation have a list of symbols for the cryptos? Don't know, Mike. I need to get on there just so I can help you guys understand that one. Let me make a note to myself to just get a TradeStation cryptocurrency account open just for fun, and so I can have that information for you. But they should all be fairly simple. All right, let's see. What else do I have? It's a shame Nikola Tesla, who was the greatest AC engineer. Yes, that is really sad. The guy just gets no love for all the things that Tesla actually created. Not the car, but the actual engineer. What else do I have? So to answer your topic question, Elon didn't kill Bitcoin. Correct. He didn't kill Bitcoin. Basically what I think he did is he just created an opportunity for buying in the crypto space. And I think he opened up a greater discussion in the crypto community of, are there going to be proof of work, proof of stake, which one should we go with? Energy consumption wise, proof of stake is so much lower, all right? That's what he's going to be looking for. However, there's some systemic vulnerabilities to proof of stake versus proof of work that will have to be hashed out as well. The big challenge I see from this is I don't think it's any surprise that regulatory issues are going to start to come down on the crypto space. And what Elon Musk did today could have hurt Bitcoin in a way, because what will happen is you're going to probably see more regulation, more eyeballs drawn to the energy consumption of Bitcoin. Obviously, it's by far the biggest consumer of energy of any of the cryptocurrencies out there. That could create some problems from a regulatory perspective down the road. I'm not sure exactly how the government's going to do anything about it, but there is a lot of uproar in the amount of energy that it's consuming. But we can make that argument about almost any other thing that consumes a lot of power. You know, Brendan, here's a big gold guy, but hey, you know what? Getting gold out of the ground uses a tremendous amount of power, right? We can talk about coal. Not only does it take a tremendous amount of energy to get coal out of the ground, but it's an ugly, dirty fuel anyway. Pepe, I'll get to that one here in just a second. Let's see. Who do you use to trade crypto? I use a variety of different people, Daniel, but it really depends on where you're at. In the U.S., if you're in the U.S., I like Kraken. I like Coinbase. Actually, I do a lot of my stuff off exchanges now and do through different apps. But if you're international and you can use Binance, I would probably say go with Binance. They're one of the best ones out there with regards to what they offer, etc. So I'm definitely a big fan of Binance, but I don't use them because I don't get all the features and functionality. For me, for the platform, what's critical is a couple things. Number one, I want those fees to be low. I want the selection of assets to be the broadest, and I want the way that they process trades to be more transparent. For example, Coinbase versus Coinbase Pro. These are two completely different executions. I'm actually thinking of doing a video on the different brokerages. Like, I'll do one on each of the different brokerages and go through kind of 5 things and maybe create a scoring system out there for them, because they're not all the same. And it even goes for the apps as well. You know, I used to keep, I used to keep my EOS on Kraken, but Kraken wasn't giving me any staking rewards. Well, now I move those over to Celsius, which thank you, Brendan, for that one. I'm using Celsius now, and I'm getting about 4.5%. Great. 4.5% to hold something that I was going to hold anyway, and I'm doing that on a lot of my different cryptocurrencies like ADA, Polkadot, Bitcoin. You know, I'm trying to get that extra little bit of interest. You have to shop around to find out what fits what you want, and it's such a big universe of different brokerage firms and fees and fee structures and all that stuff. It'll take a while for you to get used to. You like that, Jason? I thought it's funny because I was thinking about it last night. It's, you know, one of the things I'd love to do is obviously get the viewership up for this program. You know, I think we cover a lot of territory, a lot of great information. I have some great guests in the program. Granted, they're not all mainstream, but they're people I know are great traders. But it'd be nice maybe to get some more, and I think that would actually be one that I think people would start to watch a lot. Is just which brokerage firm? You know, give me a rating. Maybe I'll call it the TraderMerlin score of different brokers. All right, let's go. Coinbase is expensive, Daniel, and actually if you go to Coinbase Pro, it's a lot better, but it's still expensive. Still expensive. All right, so if you have questions, feel free to send those on in. Just give me a little couple question marks before it. That way I know which one it is, because I'm going through here, and there's a lot. You guys are talking a lot of stuff, which is awesome. I love it. Sheena, I will look at Elrond. Is that Hubbard? Just kidding. I'll buy you a copy of Dianetics. That's a good one. What happened to that solar power? Take one of those servers. Yes, there actually are a lot of clean energy chains that are starting to try. They're trying to start off and create a better environment and reward people for using things like solar energy. But I don't think that's what Musk is interested in. It's transactional. Let's see. What else do I have? How liquid are the cryptocurrencies? Wendy, that's a great question. That's a phenomenal question. I'm going to give you one example here, and then I'll go to the question about the markets here. Let's go to, I think I can do it at WorldCoin Index. So I'll go to WorldCoin Index, and basically you can click on any of these. Yeah, here you go. You can click on any symbol. So let's just go through here. If you guys have one you want me to check out, just let me know, and I will gladly check that one for you and see if I can find the stats on it. But if you look from here, here's Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin. So let's go to Dogecoin, right? Everyone's like, oh, Dogecoin, great, Dogecoin. So you click on Dogecoin, it will tell you the exchanges. So if you have a Binance account, that's the most liquid place. You can see here $3.8 billion worth of transactional volume in the last 24 hours. I mean, that's huge volume for Binance. But if you have an account, let's say KuCoin, they're only 161 million. So it's not how liquid is the cryptocurrency. It's how liquid is that cryptocurrency on a specific exchange, right? Some of these are very low. So I bought my Bitcoin on Kraken, which funny enough isn't even on this list. And they must be really low with volume. Wow. Poloniex is still around. Where's Kraken on here? There's KuCoin. Huh. That's kind of hard to believe that Kraken would be so low on this one. But you can see all these different exchanges, and I'm not finding Kraken right now. I may have missed it, but you know some of these aren't even trading. So if you have an account at Hotbit and you want to trade Doge to USD Tether, there's no volume. Nobody's trading that whatsoever. So it's important that if you want a specific cryptocurrency, so let's say for example, you're going, man, I really want to buy Cardano. Okay, great. where might be a good place to buy it? Binance would be good. Coinbase Pro would be good. Kraken would be good. There's 200 million on Kraken and have traded in the last 24 hours. On Binance, you're looking at 610. That's Binance to BTC. Cardano to USD Tether, 2.79 billion on Binance. So clearly they're the lead dogs. And it's interesting because we talk about how Coinbase is the big leader. It's not, guys. Binance is the big leader. Even though Coinbase is doing a lot of volume, Binance is way bigger. Oh, I'm getting tongue-tied here today. All right, cool. How do you outlaw a digital asset? Yes. And more, actually, that's an easy question. How do you outlaw a global digital asset? If it's centralized, you shut down the main core. Done. It's over. But again, what we're looking at here, what makes it special is the decentralization of these markets. So if something is decentralized like Bitcoin, you can go to every home in the US that has a node running Bitcoin like mine. I'm running a Bitcoin node here. That means I have a copy of the blockchain. So I'm help facilitating the entire network. Could they shut me down? Yes, they absolutely could shut you down. But they could, what are they gonna do? Come into my house and take away my little tiny, my computer that's running it? They'd have to stop everybody around the world. And there's tens of thousands of people. So you're not going to shut down something that's decentralized. And I think that's your point, Big Eb, is how do you stop it? You really can't unless you overly tax it or you say, it's 5 years in prison for transacting in Bitcoin. That might have an impact on my usage of Bitcoin. Let's see. Catherine Goodson says, where do you buy Ripple? Good question. I know that Ripple was pretty much shut down because of the FTC. Actually, not FTC, SEC. But there still are transactions going on. You'll notice that Coinbase is not on here. Coinbase has said, no, we're not doing any transactions. So what you're going to see on this list, my assumption is that all of these are foreign companies. You can buy Ripple on foreign exchanges, but you can't buy them in the U.S. because right now the U.S. exchanges are afraid that they could get sued by their clientele because if I buy, let's say right now, if I buy Ripple on Coinbase, the SEC is arguing that it is a security and it has not gone through all the different protocols to be a security. So now all of a sudden I could sue Coinbase as a consumer because you sold me something that wasn't regulated, etc. That's the big asterisk right now. So Coinbase basically said you can't trade it. You can move it and we'll keep it here, but you cannot buy or sell it anymore through Coinbase or Kraken or these guys. But if it's an international one, you can see right at the top of this list who's there. Binance, Upbit, Huobi, BitThumb. I always call it BitThumb. It's BitHum or ByThumb. I don't know what you want to call it. But there are other places you can trade that one right now. It'll eventually get back to normal. We just got to wait a little time before the settlement's done. They'll come to some agreement and Ripple will be back in action. And then I think Ripple could potentially actually be a contender for Elon Musk's objectives, which would be very interesting. Lisa says, I didn't read that the Fed is going to go after people who owe taxes. They're going to go after cryptocurrencies. Yes. How can they even do that? Well, they can tell through different crypto exchanges. For example, Coinbase right now is reporting to the U.S. government, the IRS, transactions. Now, it's supposed to be over a certain amount. I believe it was $20,000 or $50,000 in your account. But let's be honest, I'm pretty sure they're reporting just about everything. So there you go. What else do I have here? The IRS is hassling Binance to listing stock tokens. Yeah, I saw that. It's funny that you can trade stock tokens, a tokenized asset on Binance. There's so many ways this whole industry is just blowing up right now. It's amazing. What else do I got? Rhetorical question. The IRS asked me if I have any crypto. Do I lie? I'm not going to say anything right now. This is recorded. I will tell you that for me, I'm being as transparent as I can be. The tough part is, especially even on this program. I have on the show, I've bought and sold for you guys. Every one of those now needs to be documented as a transaction. It's a really cumbersome process. So I have a plan for the end of the year, which is basically I'm liquidating 100% of all my cryptocurrencies for the last couple days of the year, and then on January 1st, I'll reallocate all that capital into the cryptocurrencies and take the tax hit as long-term capital gains and start with a new tax base because it's really a mess for me at this point. Okay, let's see. With the SEC and IRS looking into Binance, do you think it's going to cause a domino effect with other exchanges? No, I think that what's happening with Binance is Binance has already said if you use Binance.com, they're already telling you can't use Binance.com. You have to go to Binance.us, which is now going to report. So they're already complying a little bit to be part of the U.S. markets, but it's a different exchange. you can't get as many assets. It's just not as good as Binance.com. That's why I don't use Binance.us. Jerry says, Merlin, from my perspective about Bitcoin, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Impossible to hack. Well, it's not impossible. There's always a chance, as they said in Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. But do you think it will be outlawed, example, next 5 years? No. It's funny. I had a conversation with Eyal Shahar of Online Trading Academy today. And we were talking about cryptocurrencies. And he says, that's my big question. You have something that's literally competing with the US dollar. They're going to shut that down. I said, well, you really can't shut it down. It can still be utilized. You can put up barriers to entry and punishment for people using it, but I don't think that they'll ban it. I don't think it'll be outlawed. I think they're just going to tax the hell out of it and they get their money that way and make sure that if you are buying cryptocurrencies, that it's reported through these companies, just like you buying a share of Apple at E-Trade. I think that's what they're going to try to push for. All right, let's go to Pepe's question. Merlin, changing topic. Did we bottom in the equities? What's your thought? Okay, well, let's go to that one right now. And I guess I don't even have my software up, so give me 2 seconds while I get this one up. I'll answer the question that came through here. 1 second. The beauty of not restarting my computer. And Sheena puts in here VPN as well. Yes, you can get a VPN, and in the VPN you can basically tell them, tell whoever's on the other end of this that I'm in Japan or China or wherever you want. Just get outside the US, and then you'll have access to those Binance.com. Okay, Brent says use VPN. Yes, good for security. Evade taxes. No, awful. Reward to risk on that trade. Well, I'm not doing anything to evade taxes, but to access those markets. For example, if you use Binance.com, you have some amazing staking opportunities. I forget what the numbers were, but I think it was like you get something like 12% for Polkadot on Binance.com, but you couldn't get anything at Binance.us. Well, I want to get the 12%. I'm going to go to Binance.com. But there's a whole list of staking rewards you can get on Binance.com that's like 40 different things. And in the US version, it's like 5. So it's just very, very limited. All right, let's go to the question, which was, do I think that the markets have bottomed? Here's your S&P 500. I do not believe these markets have bottomed personally. I think this is a retest. So we saw that yellow line there on the S&P broke down below it aggressively yesterday. Today we gapped down, sold off a little bit, then started to rally back up. I think that's pretty good. But we came right back into that area and we hesitated there. So tomorrow is very interesting to see what happens on this Friday, a little expiration day. But I don't believe we're out of it. Why? Let's look at some economic data. For me, you start to look at the economic numbers, that tells a different story. Remember, yesterday we had a CPI number that was very high compared to expectations. They expected to come out at 0.4. I think we came out at 0.8. Very high. Here is the numbers that came out today. We had good news and we had bad news. The good news is at the top of that red box, we had the unemployment claims. Now, those came out better than expected. They were expecting it to go from 507,000 to 487. We came out at 473. Great. That means more people are going back to work. Perfect. But look at the core PPI and the PPI numbers below that. It did drop from 1% to 0.6, but they're expecting it to drop much lower. So it's still high, but not higher than 1%, which I guess you could say is a good thing. But I don't think we're out of the woods with regards to inflation. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit on the program. Inflation, they're going to have to pull some magic strings to make some things happen. I just don't see it fixing it. So, for example, let's take a look at what's happened in some of those commodity markets we talked about. How about taking a look at corn? Now, you had a big drop in corn over the last 48 hours, but look where we were a year ago. There's still a tremendous amount of gains in corn, and that's going to get passed on to the consumer. Same thing here with lumber, right? Lumber had a lock limit down today. It's lock limit down right now as we speak. Well, that's great. You got lock limit down, but we still have tremendous gains here for random length lumber. Other things out there as well. We had steel, you had wheat. I think I had wheat in here. No, I don't have wheat. The one commodity that's continuing to rise is crude oil. Crude oil still in that nice ascending triangle looking up formation. Looks good to me from a long-term perspective, but I think that the markets are still going to have a little bit of an issue with this inflation thing going forward. Now, that was the S&P. Here's your NASDAQ, which looks, in my mind, much weaker than the S&P. NASDAQ came right into an area of demand. So, when we expect it to bounce, I think I was on the show talking about hitting next buy point and bounce points right around 1,300 on the NASDAQ. Well, there we are right now. Russell 2000, this one is the one that's got me the most concerned. I'm really concerned about this one going forward. The reason for that is you'll notice it really hasn't dropped below this since February of last year, or of this year. And it hasn't done anything. Well, if we start to get down below these levels, the low point here would be 2030 on the Russell 2000, then I think you've got a lot of room to fall. And inflation worries could further exacerbate that sort of sell-off. So there you go. Hobos are stealing lumber in my city. They're stealing it everywhere. It's like you have to hire an armed guard to guard your construction sites because they're stealing lumber and nails. It's bizarre. All right. Any other questions? Jason Ma, good to have you. Good to have you with us. By the way, for those of you who are new, hit that subscribe button. I do the show live every day at 2 p.m. Pacific time. We'll see how long I continue to do it, but been going well over a year on this program, plus 9 years at another show before that. So we'll keep on rolling and hopefully delivering good content to you guys. Tomorrow I don't have a guest. Maybe I'll see if I can squeeze on Trey if he can get a couple minutes on there. But right now I am going to do a solo show. I'm not sure exactly what I will talk about, which makes it easy for you guys because you can go and declare a topic that you want. You see the email on the screen there is TraderMerlin@gmail.com. If you want a specific topic covered or something you want me to discuss for tomorrow's show, do me a favor, send it on in there. If you have positive comments, good feedback, bad feedback, let me know. You can send it at TraderMerlin@gmail.com as well, and we'll hopefully try to improve from there. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to go take a look at one more thing, which is your economic calendar. And of course, if you have questions, you can send them in a chat there real quick, and I will hopefully get to those as we wrap up. Here's what's happening for tomorrow. You would think after the CPI and the PPI numbers this week that we would maybe calm down a little bit. Man, it is a big day tomorrow. You have retail sales. So you got retail sales numbers reporting tomorrow, put in the red box. I put the red box around pretty much the U.S. ones, which is showing you the retail sales numbers, import prices, industrial production, and capacity utilization rate. All of those are happening before market opens. So when that bell rings, most of the stuff will already be released. If you're in the Canadian markets, like my friend Brendan here and Patrick, you'll see wholesale sales and manufacturing sales numbers coming out as well at 5:30 in the morning. So there you go. Now, Pepe, you said, Merlin, can you go over my crypto question above? I'm looking for question marks. Where is it at? You might have to type it in again. I don't know where it's at, Pepe. And then manage the risk. Merlin, how you manage risk as far, for example, as a Bitcoin trade. Like how much are you willing to risk before you get out for a loss? I get that you're long-term to 100,000, but what if it goes against you and by how much? That's a good question. At this point, I don't have specific levels where I say I'm going to get out for Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, I'm in it to win it, and I'll stay in that. And I'll add if I need to if it drops much lower. For everything else, I'm basically going off of the price charts, and if I see a parabolic move like we've seen in Ethereum, like we've seen in Litecoin. When it goes parabolic, I let it run for a little bit, and then as soon as I see that thing stall, I'm just pulling out. And the reason for that is what goes up parabolic generally comes down parabolic. And you saw a very a good example of that in the last couple days, right? We had this pretty big up move here, and I'll show you where I got out. Oops. Let me go back to Litecoin here. It wasn't 335. This one was... So I got out at 345, and I got out back here. As it spiked up and started to drop, I'm like, you know what, I'm getting out. And I sold all of it, locked it in, and, of course, when it shot up over 400, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Again, I jump out of something. I was just a little too early, but I expected there to be a pullback. And, the pullback, I was really thinking we dropped down here a little bit further, but I already started to buy back into this position in Litecoin. So I'll probably get back into my full position here soon. Just waiting for the next couple of days. I still think we're getting some pain in the market overall to drop back down. But most of these are going to be based off of the price chart and things making new lows. So my out price is not 39. It is, not 37. It's 39.45. So there's my out on. Come on, Merlin. That top line was my out that I got out on Ethereum, right? And this is actually right after Elon Musk's presentation. I just dumped it. I thought we moved way. If you go back to April 1st, not April 1st, the end of April, so April 25th, Ethereum was at 2,200, and we basically hit 4,400 in 2 weeks. 100% in 2 weeks. I thought that was a little bit aggressive, so I took some money off the table. I definitely am long-term bullish on it, so I'm trying to kind of time the markets a little bit. When it goes super parabolic, I'll wait for a slight turn and then jump. But that's kind of how I'm doing it, Pepe. That's it. Cool. I think that's it. Wow, 15 minutes early too. That's amazing. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you realize that Elon Musk did not in any way, shape, or form ruin Bitcoin. He didn't ruin it. He just drew attention to something that's been bugging the community and the global community with regards to how Bitcoin functions, how it transacts, and the energy consumption. I think it still is the best of the best when it comes to being a store of value. I think over the long haul, I am still extremely bullish on it. I still believe we're going to see hitting 100,000 by the end of the year, although it's starting to weaken a little bit. But the more that we get this added to people's balance sheets and corporations, the more you'll see this one spike. Regulation could put a little bit of a damper on that one, but right now I'm still very bullish on it. So thank you, Elon Musk, for doing a couple things. Number one, bringing in a tremendous amount of eyeballs into the crypto space and vaulting it. I mean, remember, when he bought Bitcoin, it was at 38,000. So no matter what, he's still up big time on his Bitcoin. The other side of this is he is creating a lot of volatility in that crypto space, which for some can be ulcer producing. For others, it's opportunity out there, and I, for one, I like it. Melissa De Villa says, what do you mean about parabolic? What I mean parabolic is just the trajectory. So, for example, if you go back to price chart like this, and this is a pretty sharp move, but that, to me, is parabolic. I mean, you have these gigantic green candles day in and day out, just back to back to back, big moves on big volume. When it goes straight up, here's another good example. This is the most recent one. We've had this huge spike up, and normally I would say it's about the angle, but we can adjust the angle simply by scrolling in or out on the chart, so that doesn't really help. But it's just a straight up move like that. Mike Lewis says, so like baseball, is it better to sell a little too soon or be a little too late? Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. That's absolutely what it is, Mike. And it's funny because I look at the positions I sold out in Ethereum and in Litecoin on Saturday night, Sunday morning. I think it was more Sunday morning. I watched it happen Sunday, and I was literally just going, "You've got to be kidding me!" I mean, there was tens of thousands of dollars left on the table. But then you look at what happened, over the last few days. I'm going, you know what? I was right. I was a little too early, and I'm okay with that. I'm glad I'm out, and I'm hoping I can rebuy. If I buy right now, I'll be buying at $35 cheaper than what I got out at per. That's 10% cheaper than what I got out at on Litecoin. Great. Ethereum's doing a little bit better with regards to where it's at. It's at $37.60 right now, but I'd be buying about $200 cheaper per Ethereum. And I've actually bought back in some, but not the bulk of my position on Ethereum. So I've got a little bit of Litecoin bought, I've got a little bit of Ethereum, but I have a lot more to buy to get back to my original positions here that I sold out on over the weekend. Excellent. Hey, well, thank you guys so much for all the questions. Again, if you have questions, send them on in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. If you like today's show, do me a favor, send on your questions. Actually, if you like the show, hit the little like button, thumbs up, whatever you got to do. You can always share it in social media. You can also go and send me questions at TraderMerlin@gmail.com if you have any questions. That way you'll help me set up a show for tomorrow. Until then, happy trading. Be safe on your Expiration Friday. I'll see you then. Take care.